Welcome, everyone. This is Toni Weel from sunny and rainy Florida. It was just raining. Now I see the sun again. Anyway, we have with us Gary and Katie. Katie was a surprise. I didn't expect her with her pretty adventurous life nowadays. And we have Sara with us. I came and I have the life science course, and it was Lauren Ferris Whiteman who gave that to me a few years ago. And I just took a lesson, and it was this one, and I was like, this has some really, really good information for everyone. And yeah, we were just talking, the four of us, about there's always more to learn. I mean, we absolutely love everything that Dr. Morse taught us, but there are details that we may not have shared yet, or he may not have shared yet. And it's mostly in these lessons. And as usual, I'm gonna share this because it's 16 pages. I can't go into everything. And if you want to have it, all you need to do is send me an email, and the email is in the description of this video, and I will send it to you. So let me find the sharing option. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Oh, even you can see it. Well, that's good, Gary.
Yes, it's a little off-centered right now. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I just made it larger, and I have a touch screen thing, and so, but now it's good. Now you can read it.
Yes.
Okay, good. So I will read a part of it, and at any time you want to jump in and say something about it, because I'm not going to read everything. I'm going by topics. But I thought it was mental well-being is dependent upon good nutrition. And I think that is something that we often forget, We eat oftentimes mindlessly because conscious eating is something I think you have to learn. I don't know what it is. You're hungry and you just grab some food and not even realizing what that food can do to your body. And don't get me wrong, I know all the information about the right nutrition for healing, and sometimes I just don't think about it. And I think that happens to all of us, and especially when you have to travel. And well, actually, I got to tell you this. We met Katie a few weeks ago, and we went to a recommended restaurant. It was not an area where there was a lot of choice, but we were recommended by locals to an Italian restaurant, and I ate something that I had not eaten before, probably not ever in my life. It was a certain spaghetti, and it was so, so delicious. My taste buds absolutely adored it. My body, not so much. And yeah, Gary, I know I should have told my body that to love it, it's doing good for you, but I think something didn't listen. But you remember, Katie, I don't remember. You were doing good. I think you were only eating salad.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
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 I really stick to the fruits and vegetables because that's what my body really likes.
yeah,
Yeah, so I had a really good salad there.
yeah,
No
yeah,
dressing, no olives, no
yeah,
croutons.
yeah,
It was just like all the
yeah.
vegetables.
I
Yeah.
went completely off the rail with this because, yeah, I enjoyed it at that time. So, but over time we learn what food, how it makes you feel, and yeah, the mental well-being. I mean, I have eaten food in the past that made me actually feeling depressed. And it never happens with fruit or raw food, but definitely with cooked food. So I can only say be aware. So here we go. Proper nutrition is not only the foundation of physical health, but it's also the prerequisite for emotional and mental well-being. A sound mind and a sound body is how the Greek of 2000 years ago expressed this relationship. Today we have such terms as psychosomatic, holistic health, dietetics, hey, how do I pronounce this one correctly, guys? Dietetics.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Dietetics. I've never heard that word.
Dietetics, maybe. Gary, Katie.
Well, I can't read it. I mean, I can't see it.
I
Yeah.
can't see the word either, but I think it's dietetics, maybe.
Yeah, it says dietetics. Weird. I've never seen it. It may be an error.
Yes, Sarah is correct. Dietetics.
Yeah, so there's an error in okay, I gotta fix that. And so forth, that also point out the growing awareness that the health of the mind is inseparable from the health of the body. But sometimes you wonder, where do you start, a healthy mind or with the right foods? And I found, well, actually, when I started this whole journey on raw food, I was actually rather depressed and absolutely not feeling well, not even really wanted to live. Then I'm talking about a long time ago. And when I started on raw foods, and we call it raw foods, but it's living foods, that depression was gone in no time. It was absolutely amazing. Okay, nor should this observation be surprising in the least. Illnesses and poor physical health give the rise to feelings of anxiety, worry, and depression. And who nowadays doesn't have that, the anxiety, the worry, the depression. And similarly, mental stress and emotional upset can contribute to the many sickness commonly thought to be physical in origin. So interdependent are the health of the body and mind that there can be no such thing as a depressed, healthy person or a schizophrenic, physically sound individual. Isn't that interesting? I mean, they didn't really thought about it. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, I'm healthy. I'm only depressed." It can be said that radiant physical health begets perfect emotional and mental poise, and a calm, clear mind produces physical well-being. There's no dispute the fact that a healthy mental and emotional state can be ensured through good nutrition. The fact that mental well-being depends upon nutrition should be obvious if we realize that the quality of our blood determines the health quality of our thoughts. Yeah, I have to read this again. The quality of our blood determines the quality of our thoughts. Like all other organs, our brain receives its sustenance in the form of oxygen and nutrients carried in the bloodstream. If the blood is almost wholly withdrawn from the brain, unconsciousness occurs. If the brain is drained of blood for a short time, death results. When the oxygen content of the blood drops due to poor respiration, the oxygen available to the brain also drops, and we become listless and apathetic. Our mental processes become slow and confused. If vital nutrients are missing from the bloodstream, or if toxins are being circulated through the body, the brain is as surely affected just as the liver, the kidneys, the bones, and muscles are. In extreme cases of toxic bloodstream or poor nutrition availability, mental illness results. These illnesses are obvious to the casual observer. However, in the more subtle case of blood poisoning brought about by faulty nutrition, the mind is also intimately affected. In fact, the majority of the population has never enjoyed complete mental health because their bloodstreams, which nurture the brain, are in a constant state of pollution. Few people have experienced the crystal clarity of acute mental perception that accompanies a purified bloodstream. Consequently, most people accept their daily fears and frustrations as natural. With optimum nutrition, however, such a compromise in our mental well-being is unnecessary. Any, you want to give any comments on this?
Can you say that again?
Which part?
Just that little part that, I think it was the last sentence.
With optimum nutrition, however, such a compromise in our mental well-being is unnecessary. That meaning the daily fears and frustrations that we accept as natural.
I mean,
Really don't know what to say there.
Okay. Well, when they talk about the blood and oxygen, I mean, we talk a lot about the correct breathing.
Right, and what keeps the blood clean? Because they didn't even mention that.
Yeah, okay, no, he didn't mention that.
Right, your lymphatic system, your filters, your liver, your kidneys, your spleen, those are the filters. And when they get dirty and they can't filter things properly, then you start to get contaminants in your whole system, including your blood. But the lymphatic system has to be really compromised for that to happen. I have a new technique that I learned will help with keeping your brain active, alert, and your consciousness at a higher level. It's simple. It's a simple thing, but it's very difficult to do. And I've been practicing it, and you can really get you can actually feel it working. So I'll show that later, because it has a lot to do with your to relieve depression and anxiety and to keep your connection with all the information up front so you can retrieve it very easily. And you just use your hands. That's it. I mean, it's one of the most bizarre exercise movements I've ever experienced, because
Yeah.
it looks so simple, but it is not. But it will keep you alert.
Now we're getting really curious, Gary.
Yeah, the neuroconnectivity is what it increases.
Okay.
And you don't have to break a sweat. You don't have to do anything. And of course, we know breath, because you need to get oxygen, hydration, and nutrition into the blood. And that's what keeps the brain healthy. Keeps it's everything. You know, as we're learning, your whole electrical system. When we have something off in the body, whether it's your depression, anxiety, whatever, these are electrical issues. And as we increase the electrical flow in the body, which fruits, berries, and melons do, all that stuff goes away because you're reconnecting your neurological pathways. And, you know, and we have physical things that we can do, like I'll show later, that will absolutely help with that. When I first started doing it, it wasn't even connecting. You know what I mean? It's so simple looking, but it's very difficult. Some people will be able to do it, obviously, because that's duality. But I was not one of those people. But I'm getting better at it, and I'll practice it every day. You know, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, even for just 1 minute. So, yeah, that was pretty crazy. I sent it to a couple of my close friends, and the answer back was a lot more difficult than it looks.
Uh-huh. Wow. And you're going to show us, right?
Yes, I'll show you.
Okay. Well, okay, we do that later.
All right.
Okay, we're moving on. Emotions and their relationship to diet and health. Emotions, too, play an intricate role in nutrition, both by affecting our choice of diet and by influencing the use of nutrients within the body. In fact, perhaps the most important reason why optimal nutrition is not universally applied is that eating has so many emotional connotations. I thought that was another thing, is the connotations. New word for this Dutch lady. Many people eating and food are connected with the emotional state of pleasure, pain, reward, punishment, and so forth. Yeah, the part of the emotional eating. All of us have pleasant or unpleasant associations with food, and we resist changing the associations. Well, if I have an unpleasant association, I will definitely change it. Although, we'll easily forget. As the consequence, the average person often thinks that proper nutrients means giving up those foods they emotionally favor and eating those they hate. If it tastes good, it's fattening, is the common joke among dieters. Not only do these emotions influence our choice of diet, but the diet in turn influences the emotions. Certain foods play havoc with the blood sugar level, sending people into periods of depression or irritability. Other foods may calm children noisy and hyperactive, while certain foods, just as chocolate candy bar, have been known to trigger schizoid attacks in susceptible individuals. I get some training in English today. Clearly, nutrition plays a vital role in our mental and emotional health. By studying this role in detail, we can discover the optimum diet and the proper mental and emotional attitudes that promote total health in the individual. Now, how food affects mental and emotional health. In an interesting story about a family who followed an optimum diet of chiefly fresh fruits complemented by some nuts and seeds, the three children in the family had been following a predominantly all-fruit diet for several years. During that period, they were extremely well behaved. They were kind and gracious to their parents and to each other. They cooperated in their work and play with no signs of irritability. As an experiment, the mother one day fed the children several slices of whole wheat bread. Within an hour after the meal, the children were fighting among themselves and had several outbursts of anger and emotional fits. Coincidentally? Perhaps. But consider that many people are allergic to wheat products and that wheat eating is usually associated with warlike populations. See the observation made by J.I. Rodale later in this lesson. The point here is that when a person follows a pure, high-quality diet, any substandard food consumed would quickly make their presence known by their effect on the mental and emotional states. Not only does wheat eating result in health problems and consequent emotional and mental disturbances, but also eating foods high in fats tends to dull the mind and cloud the thinking. Fat digesting is so demanding that much blood is diverted away from the brain to the digestive system. As a result, the thinking processes become slower and a mild form of depression occurs. The above example represents only mild cases. When extremely poor quality foods are eaten, their effects on the mind and emotions are much more dramatic, sometimes causing complete mental breakdowns and personality transformations. Unhealthful foods and their effects will be discussed later. The effect of the food on the mind have been studied for many thousands of years by Oriental philosophers. Many of these philosophers have gone so far as to categorize the effects that many commonly eaten foods have on the mental state. And we're not even talking about all the chemicals that are being added to, certain processed foods. This morning I learned about that Walmart is going to remove a lot of the chemicals. Oh, that was from petroleum. Petroleum-based chemicals will be removed from their own brand foods. And I thought, it's crazy that it's in there in the first place, but at least something is being done to make that food less damaging You know, it still can have a lot of junk in it, and I'm absolutely not saying that is what you need to go for, but there is more awareness now about what is in the food, and hopefully hospitals and schools are going to have better food, because we know how absolutely terrible the food is in hospitals. And I don't even know of any hospital. Well, I have only been in a few, but I think going into a hospital, the best thing that you can do for your health is fast.
That's right.
So you don't have to eat the canned and sugary and whatever bullshit. And my last hospital thing was 11, 12 years ago. And I was like, I can't eat this. I knew I was a diabetic. This was way before Dr. Morris, even before I knew better. And couldn't decide, because I had a heart attack the year before. They couldn't decide what kind of diet to give me. It had to be one or the other. I don't remember what I got, but it was, yeah, not food that even back then, I was eating. Before I knew what was the healthy food, I was like, no, I can't eat this.
Mhm.
Anyway, classifications of foods. Let me see how interesting this is. Remember, guys, if you want this file, I can send it to you. Oh, yeah, this was actually about Western science has only recently discovered the relationship between mental states and nutrition. And I can tell you, many doctors still don't want to go into that. People in the Eastern countries have been aware of the effects of diet on the mind since around 4000 BC. So they categorized it like in pure foods, stimulating foods, and impure or rotten foods. And we know that the pure foods are the foods, fresh fruits and vegetables, and it's said to bring calmness and tranquility to the mind. These foods are reputed to increase the clarity of the mind and sweetness of disposition. They are especially recommended by those desiring spiritual growth and meditative minds. And then we have the stimulating foods, spices, meat, eggs, onions. I didn't know that onions was part of that, and probably garlic too. Are said to create animal passions and to cause a restless, unsatisfied state of mind. These foods contribute to nervous disorders and emotional outbreaks. And then we have impure foods that include putrefied, processed, and preserved foods, decrease thinking capacity, dull the senses, and contribute to chronic mental ailments. They accelerate the aging process and cause early death. Regardless of any of our particular belief in religious system, we could appreciate the painstaking observations made over thousands of years by these students of the diet and the mind. They have long known, as is being discovered by scientists, that the quality of our food directly affects the quality of our thoughts. In his series Diet and War, J.I. Rodale provided a correlation between a country's tendency toward war or peace based on its national dietary. He discovered that the national attitude was more warlike and aggressive in proportion to the amounts of sugar, meat, wheat, and rye production consumed by its populace. Throughout history, it has been the meat-eating nomads who have made war on the peaceful agrarian tribes. And, with foods, they either furnish or deplete vital nutrition upon which our mental and emotional health depends. And they either do or do not produce toxic byproducts in the body, which poisons the brain and contribute to emotional problems. That makes me think of there was a sweetener, and gosh, I forgot what they called it. I think it was in the Netherlands. It was called calendula. It may be the same as aspartame. I think it was. Was aspartame a sweetener?
That I don't know. Like, I will say about the meat, though, the reason that most tribes that attacked villages that grew their own food, when you're traveling, you have to kill what you can find. And I'm sure there were herbalists there, and there was a lot of herbs they could have had, but they couldn't grow crops because they're never in one spot. So, and it's easy to overtake a alkaline village, right? When their body is alkaline and they're at peace, these guys are trained and their diet is aggressive, which keeps them in the fight. I will say in the UFC, when you go into a gym, if you start talking fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables, they'll wow. Because and there are some vegan fighters, but they have a whole different mentality, a whole different mindset than the ones who are like in your face and really aggressive, and they're their programming for their mind and how they were brought up and their diet has a lot to do with their aggressiveness because their bodies are acidic. They may look like, you know, Greek statues, but their body is acidic inside and they do a lot of damage to themselves. So when they're doing it, you know, some do it because they love it, some doing it for the money.
Yeah.
But that is true. Your tribes that travel a lot, they kill what's in the area, and that's what they eat.
But I think in nature, and I assume that was even more so way back than it is now, that there was always fruit growing, berries, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why I say they were probably
Yeah,
herbalists, but
yeah,
you don't the warrior fruits, berries, and melons and vegetables because it'll take their edge away.
yeah. So here we have like eating grapes, because that is something that we learned from Dr. Morse.
Mm-hmm.
Eating grapes furnishes the blood with readily assimilated natural sugars and minerals that
Mm-hmm.
are conducive to mental activity. Consuming white sugar, on the other hand, depletes the body of B vitamins, and this leads to nervousness and mental depression. Eating fresh, raw foods places little or no toxic matter in the body, whereas eating preserved and cooked foods saturates the bloodstream with toxins that poison the body and interfere with brain function. We can deduce from the above observation that optimum nutrition for physical, mental, and emotional health consists of selecting those foods that first can supply the body with all of its nutrient needs, and that do not interfere with the nutritional balance, and second, contribute little or no toxic byproducts. Foods that disrupt the nutritional balance of the body and toxify the system are the nutritional culprits of poor mental and emotional health. Most of these culprits are actually non-foods, such as sugar, alcohol, caffeine, drinks, etc., and have no legitimate place in the human diet. And I know a lot of people who they still drink coffee. My family members, I mean, people I dearly love, and yeah, they're not going to give up their coffee. So every day, millions of people ingest various substances that have no food value at all. Worse yet, these non-foods not only do not supply any needed nutrition, but they also rob the body of vital minerals, vitamins, etc. As a result, eating these non-foods cheats the body of nutrients and has profound harmful effects on the mind and emotions. Perhaps the most pervasive and insidious nutritional robber is white sugar. The funny thing is, when people talk about, oh, you're vegan, well, you don't get this and you don't get that, and I'm like, well, it's not the vegans that are the sickest in the nation. It's the meat eaters and the wheat and the white sugar, and This morning I came across something again about fruit sugar in a group. And oh, you can absolutely not eat fruit if you are a diabetic, and it's the worst. And it was it was funny how it went over back and forth in that group with comments about that it is actually fat that causes the problem. And I know Sarah explained it last or maybe another podcast ago
Oh
very
yeah.
well. And but people just don't want to believe it. They come back to it. And I, I am a diabetic, and to keep it under control, I need to stay away from the fats and the wheat, but mostly the fats. So that means no, well, I don't eat nut, but yeah, I can eat avocados, and if I do that for too long, and in the past I had an avocado addiction, and then you think, okay, I didn't have avocados now for months at a time. Let me try one.
Yeah, you can't slip at all. And I mean, I have 100% firsthand experience with it. And I've watched my husband go through it. And my husband's a fit guy. I mean, he is not heavy, he is not unhealthy. And I mean, he's strong and everything. And you look, you're like, you have diabetes. And he did. His highest number was 10.2. And all we did was, and he would eat like bean burritos and things like that, trying to help himself. But it was just the fat content was there and it was too high. And once we cut the oil and we cut the fats and everything, I mean, he still eats bread, he still eats pasta, he eats rice, he eats meat. What we cut was the oil, the butter, the cheese, the eggs, and we cut all of that out. And we keep his fat between, we try to hover around 10, but it can go as high as 20 on a day. He still eats cupcakes, but I make them and they have no eggs, no oil, no nothing in them. I mean, and I'm a pretty darn good baker and cook for him. I mean, it tastes pretty good for him. And his numbers have soared down. And he still does bananas and blueberries. And he hasn't been doing his orange juice lately, but he used to do 32 ounces of orange juice too. And that's when his diabetes came down. So he just stopped the orange juice about a month and a half ago or something like that. So, I mean, between the 3 bananas a day, maple syrup, water, blueberries, 32 ounces of orange juice, and he does drink a gallon of water every day, if not a little bit more. So we have firsthand experience with this, and it happens rapidly, even the way he's eating. So imagine if he would have been on just pure fruit. I mean, those numbers probably would have came down super quick. But he's doing very well, and it's called intermyocellular lipids, which is fat within the cells that are not allowing I don't know all the technical terms, but the sugar
Insulin.
basically to get
Yeah.
burned off.
Yeah.
So, and in the meantime too, yes, we are listening to Dr. Morrison doing stuff, and we're trying to do things to start healing his pancreas, or maybe not healing, but allowing it just to be able to do its job. So absolutely. Do
Yeah,
not
I
have a
think
fruit fear. Have a
right.
fat fear and
Yeah.
have a protein fear.
Yeah, the thing is, even though once you are a diabetic, and I think the whole body needs to heal, and it may not affect you as much once you healed, but if you are not really fully healed, then at any time that you eat fat, you're back in problems. You may have the same problem. And the funny thing is, when I talk to people who have diabetes, and the doctor told them they can absolutely not eat fruit, and then I'm like, okay, so did you eat fruit throughout your life? Oh no, I barely ate any fruit ever.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
how did you get diabetes then? I
Yeah,
mean, if the doctor says it comes from the fruit, but you never ate fruit and you still have diabetes, then huh? So that usually ends the discussion about,
exactly.
how
Well,
how do you get it? And there are doctors now, the smarter ones, that because it is in medical information. I think even when you go on WebMD, you will find this. You will find that it's not caused by fruit sugar, but it is fat related. I mean, it comes more and more out. So yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is, well, no, I wouldn't eat fruit if you're going to continue to eat all the fat and the eggs and cheese and stuff like that. Then no, absolutely not. That's the only time I would think that if you're a diabetic, that the fruit could be even questionable to be ingesting, because you're eating that. And even when I tell people who still want to continue to eat like that, I say, well, I mean, then I would eat the most sugary thing first before you eat your fat. Let the sugar push through and then do your fat on top of that. Don't eat this big fat laden meal and then go and have a bowl of ice cream. I mean, you're asking for trouble there. But if you really want your ice cream, go eat your ice cream first and then go have your fatty meal about a half hour later. At
Yeah.
least it's going to flow through your body quicker. People just, I don't, even doctors and stuff, like, because I'm going through some stuff with somebody really close to me with breast cancer again. And it just blows my mind that they can't figure out it's a drainage problem. I mean, literally just unplug the drain. That's the majority of all of our problems. Unplug the drain, let everything flow out. But so
Secret.
far, we're not there.
Yeah, that's a secret they won't tell you.
No, I won't. And I saw the most awful thing too. This lady they took 14 liters of fluid off of her legs because she has I can't even think of the name of it, but her
Ema?
thighs are really big. And so are her calves.
Lymphedema.
Lymphedema. And she had that really bad, and she's a young girl, like in her 30s. They
Mhm.
went in. This girl has terrible looking scars across the tops of both of her knees to drain that off. Not one time did she mention the doctor said that it's my kidney problem, I'm not filtering or anything. But now this beautiful young lady has these terrible little scars across her legs now, or not little scars. And I was heartbroken for her. Like, I can't believe that they would rather cut on her than tell her the real problem.
Right, and what are they actually doing? They're doing what the does naturally. They're physically going in and draining the fluid off,
Yeah.
then teaching them to. So that's probably a gate 5 issue.
Yeah. And as if it's not going to come back, or as if it's not going to pile back on, and she's going to have to go and have it all removed again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I just blows my mind.
I
Yeah,
worked.
they didn't take away the cost.
Yeah, I worked with a woman in Rhode Island. 25 years she'd had edema, like massive edema in her legs, and the doctors told her there's no way, you can't get rid of that. Well, in 6 weeks, her legs were back to a normal size, and her
Yeah.
doctor said, "Wow, I've never seen that before. Do you think you could help my partner and I with our digestive system?"
Of course.
These are doctors.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Katie. I'm sorry.
oh, well, I was going to say, Sarah, I can totally resonate with your story because my friend, okay, now everyone keep in mind, I'm very passionate about what we speak about. That's why these health shows are so important. And so it's just something I talk about. So if you're going to be my friend, you're going to hear me talk about these things that we talk about on health show. So I have a friend who injured her knee, had surgery, and then the exact same thing happened where she had to go back to the doctors. They had to drain out the knee area because her leg was massive. It looked like a sumo wrestler's leg, and she's small and petite like I am. And she was like almost kind of like bragging about, look, I think they did like 3 full containers of fluid,
Well,
and she was almost bragging about it. And I was kind of like, I'm not gonna tell my friend's name, but I was like, girl, that's not right. And then so of course I'm teaching her this health, I'm like reminding her what I teach and the lymphatic system and what you're eating and da 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 da. Yep. Just way over her head, not making those connection. And it blew my mind because then she had to go and do it again. I couldn't even believe it. And I'm like, we have been friends for a very long time.
Mm.
We talk multiple times a week, and she just wasn't getting it. So, and it makes me think of my younger sister who's a nurse, and she just doesn't get it. And so when Gary was talking about the doctors and you asking why don't they make these connections, I don't know what the answer is other than they're just not ready.
Yeah,
But what is it going to take for
The
them to be
brainwashing
ready?
is so deep within all of us. I mean, even the
Yes.
experiences that I'm going through, just trying to even like everything I believe on my spiritual journey. And even when I'm still faced with it, it's like there's still doubt there. And even though I 100% believe it. And so, I mean, it just, I mean, we're talking like thousands of years of indoctrination and brainwashing of what is right and everything. And most people would rather leave their spouse or just let their life go than change their addiction to their food. And that's very hard. And one other thing I want to say too, when it comes time about my journey that I've been on these last few months of just pure fruit. Because before, like I would eat salad, I would have sweet potato, you know, like carby kind of stuff. But with just being on just fruit, well, I'll just say it now. Um, I started itching awfully, like below the breast and between the breast, in my groin area, behind my knees, in my armpits. I mean, it was just awful. And Gary, I was watching your lymphatic stuff and I was like, oh my gosh, everywhere I'm itching is in the lymphatic gates. And so what I came to the concept of is that my kidneys couldn't keep up with what I was purging.
right.
And so it was coming through my skin. And
Mm-hmm.
it lasted probably a month and it was awful. Like I was like starting to destroy my skin. But I used it's called desert lily aloe and started putting it all over that in those areas, and that really helped. And showers help too. But I mean, even as good as I've done, it still affects me. And as much as I was purging, I couldn't believe that too. So, but thankfully it has subsided.
Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that, Sarah.
Yes. Thank you. One thing you could do is baths if you have bathtub. Epsom salt, baking soda, and borax or boron, like a cup of each. Water as hot as you can stand it, and stay in there until it's cold. Just relax, put on your favorite music, turn the lights out, and because that will pull the toxins through your skin out into the water. So that should help with that too.
That's good advice too. And I really like that you shared your story about the itching
Yeah.
because sometimes I have clients and they have horrible itch and we know it is stuff coming out, but it's good to know.
Oh,
Good
it
to
was
know that
awful.
you went through it. Yeah, I know, I know. I have it. I find it when I eat something. A while ago, I ate some. What was it? Beans, and that happened then to me. So, it was, and I feel every time that you have a reaction like that, it is either you ate the wrong thing or you are really detoxing. Well, actually, it's a detox. For me, it was a detox right away from eating those beans. But because oftentimes people expect that when you are on all fruit, it should all be positive. But what you said, and actually you have been on this journey for quite some time, not only fruit. So it's interesting that the body can still move more toxins out we're not even aware of.
Well, and Tony, when you say that, like I think the same thing because I've been on this journey since 2020 and I'm still releasing things and like I have to tell my family, it took me like 40 plus years to get this way. It may take me 40 years I mean, it won't, but it may take me 40 years to get where I don't have like I don't know, like a negative side effects of detoxing. But it's good. It's good to have those things. So don't think of it as negative. Be like, yes, I'm releasing this. Doesn't feel
Yeah, something
comfortable,
is
but I'm releasing
happening.
it.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But if you
And I
know,
might be getting into an area, I would say I might be getting into an area that's choppy, but I wanted to say the other part was the hair loss. Like that can be actually pretty scary. But I mean, you got to look at it as it's good. Yeah, because I have a ton of hair, but yeah, it is kind of nerving to watch it come out. But you just got to realize that it's not supposed to be there. Then I didn't lose this hair because of I'm all of a sudden not eating protein. I haven't had protein in a long time. It's detox.
Okay, wait, can I, as we're, this is funny because as we're doing this show, I'm brushing my hair right now with one of those bristle brushes to get the oil from my scalp down to my, throughout my hair. And when I started this journey, I lost a lot of hair. And then all of a sudden, even my hairstylist, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you have lost so much hair." And I'm like, "Yes, I know." But then, like years later, I said, "Hey, I think my hair is getting thicker. What do you think?" And she's like, "Oh, it's totally, so it's coming back." But recently, I did notice, like in my shower and then in the bathroom, when you clean up and you see hair on the floor because you swept it. I'm losing my hair again. So it does. It comes in waves, just like your detox. It will come in waves. So we've talked about that before, but it's just a friendly reminder since we're on the topic.
Yeah, it is when you know that you put the right fuel, food, and everything that you need in your body, and these things happen, it will get better. It is, I've had periods of losing a lot of hair, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And then for months, and then it started again a little. And yeah, it's interesting how that happens. I always see it as, well, body's hard at work.
Yeah, it's working on cleaning up. Like our hair is non-essential. So that's the same thing. Like it's not the exact same thing, but it's like when somebody goes through chemo, you lose your hair because your body is like, well, screw the hair. We have to start protecting all the organs. We have to start rebuilding ourselves. The hair will come back once we're healed, or once we're more stable, I should say. It's the same thing with detox. Like when you're in detox, your body's like, the hair is non-essential. Let's really take this time. We got all of our workers lined up now, and let's get the whole ship cleaned up. And then once we got it cleaned up, then we'll start regrowing hair.
Makes me think of the trees and the leaves. So this conversation is very appropriate and divine.
Well, I don't want to lose my hair every fall. It only comes back in the spring.
Neither do I.
Well, look at it as the season of where our bodies are. So, so fall doesn't come every year for us. You just go through the fall and then you make it through the winter and then you emerge back into spring.
This is a section about caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol, and I was like, well, we all know that we don't need to read that, but now I see something, and I know Gary can add to that because we have been talking, it's quite a while ago, maybe earlier this year, about nicotine. And this is, let me see. Nicotine, as obtained from smoking tobacco, adds to the metabolic dysfunctioning. It impairs the absorption of vitamin C and interferes with the blood circulation. By constricting the blood vessels, nicotine robs the brain of its essential nutrients, particularly blood glucose, its major fuel. In fact, not only does nicotine inhibit vitamin C absorption, but it actually destroys some or all of the vitamin C already in the blood. One of the mental effects of vitamin C depletion is increased irritability. Smokers tend to be quick to irritate, and often exhibit emotional outbursts. Now, months ago, Gary, we were talking about adding a nicotine patch for healing because the Dr. Oidis had a lot of information about that. And that it is not the nicotine in the cigarettes that is harming you. It is all the byproducts
Yes.
that are harming. But now this has been written quite a while ago. So now they talk about nicotine, that it adds to metabolic dysfunctioning and interferes the absorption of vitamin C and interferes with the blood circulation. Well, this guy actually claims the healing process. And because I'm always curious, I try things out as long as I don't expect them to really hurt me, then I won't.
Right.
But I did try out those patches for quite a while. I did not see any difference. I did not experience any difference.
So what the nicotine, every cell in your body has a nicotine receptor. And part of the reason during COVID that they wanted the hospitals empty was they expected a slew of smokers to come in. But if you have nicotine in your cell, even if it's a cigarette, which is not, it's not the nicotine, it's the 4,000 chemicals they put in there, 8 that cause irritation and addiction that are in the cigarettes. So you're ingesting that, and that's hooking into your electrical system, and it's messing with the body, but the nicotine kept the virus out of the cell. That's what nicotine does. It's kind of like iodine with the thyroid, right? So it keeps radiation out, which is why they're removing it from everything. Because if you get an MRI, they have radioactive synthetic iodine. But if you have regular iodine in your system, they can't do the MRI because it won't allow the synthetic radioactive iodine to enter the cell. Well, that's what the nicotine does, and it's reversing Parkinson's, and there's a bunch of things that MS, there's a bunch of things that it will eliminate. Is it going to work for everybody? No, because nothing works for everybody. We have to be explorers and figure that out. So I'm glad you tried it. And I believe Willem tried it too, right? He did it too.
No, he had really bad what is it? Effect. Yeah, he got very hyper. He didn't feel well.
Okay.
So
So
you mentioned then to use a half, and he was like, "No, if this does it to me, I don't even want a little bit." So he didn't.
you buy a 7 milligram, you're supposed to cut it in 6 pieces and use the pieces. So it's a very small amount. That you,
Well, I used the whole patch.
so that is like the body's not really set at that point. You have to build up your tolerance, but you never really need to use more. That if you buy a 7 milligram, cut it in 6 pieces, you never have to really use more than that. And you can use it every day for the rest of your life if you want to. You don't have to. But it's reversing a lot of dis-ease in the body labeled Parkinson's and MS, and I can't remember the rest of the ones, but Dr. Brian Artis, if you want to look that up on YouTube, he's got plenty of videos on there where he talks about it. And there are videos of the manufacturers of cigarettes. I think there's 7 of them in front of either the Senate or Congress testifying that nicotine is not addictive. And
Yeah, I've read all those articles. Yeah.
so it's important to explore. If it works, great. If it doesn't, move on to something else. To be on a drug for the rest of your life is not what the body's made to do, whether it's synthetic or natural. It's just not. It's self-cleaning, self-regenerating. And in order to do that and maximize it, we need to increase our breath, our oxygen in. Now, oxygen is the engine. It increases metabolism. It moves the whole body, moves the plates in your head all the way through it, moves blood and lymph through because of the pressure. Our body is a compression decompression chamber. Inhaling is compression, exhaling everything out is decompression. And from the day you took your first breath in the hospital or wherever you were born, right? Your body has been running 24 hours a day for however old you are now. And that is really important to understand. So if we're not cleansing the body internally, we spend billions of dollars a year washing the external body, and nobody ever talks about the internal body at all. Well, as you wash it with the great liquids, fruits, berries, melons, the Master Cleanse, which is actually a fruit drink, uh, and proper hydration. And we have people say, well, I drink water all day long and I'm still dehydrated. Well, it's not how much you drink, it's how much you absorb. So you have a malabsorption issue. And that's why the hydration is not really cleansing the body that way. You know, I think I mentioned this before. You take a bowl of pudding, like congestion, right? And whatever you're eating is what caused that congestion. Well, you can't put more congestion in there and expect it to get better. What do? You put water in there. Well, if you make a hole in that pudding and dump water in it, it's just going to sit there. So what do? You have to stir it up. Well, that's what yoga and stretching and qigong and tai chi and all these different movements that are gentle. You're drinking liquid and you you're stirring up your internal body, like taking a spoon and mixing that water into that. That's what's going to break it up. That's what's going to make it loose. So the movement, the breath is the ultimate movement in the body. And then to move externally, you're moving blood, you're moving lymph, you're bringing oxygen into the body. And that's what it needs to heal. And then, of course, you have to have rest too. So it's really important to do that. And you don't have to, it's not strenuous. The slower you move, the more energy you generate. And the faster you move, the more energy you burn. This is why if you go for a 5 mile, like a charity event, and you're supposed to run 5 miles, you may not make it, especially if you haven't run 5 miles before, because you're running out of gas, and gas is oxygen. The oxygen is getting less because there's more acid building in the body. And that's why you ache the next day. You've got aches and pains. So, well, that's that lactic acid that's created through movement. The body can't eliminate it fast enough. People who can run 5 miles and they don't have any effect the next day, that's because their body is adjusted to that and it's eliminating the acid as fast as it's coming in, and their oxygen is at a level that they can maintain their power or their strength. And the adrenals have a lot to do with that too. So these are just simple things. And we are not taught that. We're not taught how to hydrate. We're not taught how to breathe. We're not taught how to eat. We're not taught anything. We're taught to go to a doctor and get some medication, which suppresses the symptom. It doesn't correct anything. And like Dr. Morse says, what you suppress today will become your nightmare tomorrow. And that's a fact. Your body never shuts off. It's going 24/7. For me, I just turned 75. So for 75 years, my body's been running. And I'm learning more and more about how to take care of it. Because if you push the body, it will push back and you won't like it, which is where your cold and flu-like symptoms come from. So like the lactic acid being trapped in your body, or these acids cause a lot of issues. And if we clean the lymphatic system, they all go away. So everything's in the lymph. All your inflammation is there that causes swelling and pain. The fascia gets tight. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know how much time we have, but I want to make sure that I do that.
We are at the top of the hour. We have about half an hour.
Okay.
And we're not even halfway the lesson.
So I'll be quiet and keep going.
No, everyone loves hearing you talk. So
Thank you.
There's always these little tidbits that it was like, oh, that's how it works.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is about how negative emotions inhibited digestion. Depression, worry, nervousness, anxiety, tension, and other negative emotions are all based on the primary emotion of fear. Worry is fear of the unknown. Anxiety is fear of upcoming situations. Tension is fear of people or demands made by people. Nervousness is fear of one's own inability to adequately handle the responsibilities of daily life and so on. When primitive man was afraid, he usually tried to run away from the source of the fear. When animals are afraid, their first impulse is to flee. Modern man, however, has fears about the intangibles in life. Most of his fears are due to internal factors, not external, and he cannot run away from them. Although human fears have moved away from concern about the wild jungle animals to worry over mortgage payments, etc., the physiological responses to these fears have not changed in a million of years. Panic is an extreme manifestation of fear, and it is instructive to trace the physiological changes in the organism that accompany this emotion. As soon as a threat to the organism is manifested as a strong fear, a complex chain of events begins that eventually affects every cell in the body. First, the hypothalamus gland near the brain transmits a series of strong signals through the spinal column to nerve centers throughout the body. In the throat, large amounts of thyrotopic hormone is released into the system to stimulate the organism. Near the kidneys, a flood of, oh my gosh, adrenocorticotropic hormone is produced as the adrenal glands are called into action. These hormones then trigger a series of programmed responses throughout the body. Can you imagine this all happens in less than a second? That's something.
Hmm.
The blood vessels in the skin and the digestive system undergo a rapid constriction to direct the blood to the muscles in the arms and legs, hence the term pale with fright. This prepares the body for the flight or fight response to the fear. Simultaneously, the spleen is contracted and pouring out a large amount of white corpuscles and platelets into the bloodstream in order to take care of the anticipated injuries. The liver also forces out a stream of blood sugar to feed the extreme demands made by the aroused system. The saliva in the mouth dries up since there's no desire for food in the presence of fear. The nostrils expand to take in more oxygen, and the eyes dilate to take in more visual stimuli. In extreme fear, the abdominal gases move downward and force any stool or urine in the system out, thus lightening the body and preparing it for flight. The emotion of fear produces the proper physiological reactions in the body so that it may run quickly away or fight if it is cornered. These type of changes in the body are actually very beneficial if there is an imminent danger of physical harm. These same reactions occur, usually to a lesser degree, for a tangible fear as for a physical threat. If we worry about bill collectors or rush hour traffic, our body go to similar physiological reactions to when our lives are physically threatened. Now let's look a little closer at the relationship between fear and digestion. First, it is obvious that no one whose life is in danger is going to have an appetite. Dr. Herbert M. Shelton once described an experiment performed on a cat that he had just finished eating. Ouch. The cat's stomach was observed with, oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. I have to say that. He was just, an experiment performed on a cat that had just finished eating. I thought he was eating the cat. Oh, sometimes.
I was gonna say I have to go.
Yeah, the cat's stomach was observed with x-rays and digestion was proceeding normally. A dog was then brought into the room and the cat took notice. Immediately, all digestive processes in the cat halted. Its stomach ceased moving and the digestive juices stopped secreting. When the dog was removed, the cat's digestion resumed. Gosh. Food cannot be digested or assimilated in the presence of fear. If we eat when we are worried, depressed, tense, or fearful, the digestive system cannot handle the food properly. It may only partially digest it and lay fermenting or putrefying in the stomach. We should never eat when we are emotional, upset, or out of sorts. And yes, we do. If we are uncomfortable in body or mind, we should not eat until we feel better and regain our poise. So now it's clear all that emotional eating, you now know what is happening, don't don't eat when you're when your emotions run havoc. Additionally, it's not a good time to try to eat while driving a car. Discussing business or personal problems, reading disturbing news, watching television, or in any situation that might give rise to these too intense emotions. We never even think about this. Okay, let's go into the positive emotions that can enhance digestion. Several years ago, a man was diagnosed by the medical profession as having terminal cancer. He was told that he probably had about 6 months to live. He was released from the hospital and ended his medical treatment as he went back home to live. For the first month or so, he was very depressed and lay in bed all day watching television. He was in constant pain. Each day in the late afternoon, he watched the cartoon programs on television before the evening news. He always laughed at the cartoons and noticed that by the end of the show, his pain was not as noticeable. It did return, however, as he watched the evening news. Yeah, you're not supposed to watch the news. He decided that there might be a relationship between his laughing and the subsidence of pain. He installed a videotape machine and then bought all the funny movies that he remembered from his youth. He watched all the slapstick comedies he could find for hours at a time. He brought dozens of joke books and read them. He made a point to laugh as much as possible during his waking hours. Gradually, the pain left him. After 6 months, he was still alive and his cancer had been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Happy emotions do influence physiological processes in the body, just as do negative emotions. When we are cheerful, carefree, and happy, we rarely become sick. One of the results of a happy disposition is improved digestion. When we feel emotions due to when oh, positive emotions about ourselves and our surroundings, we relish our food more and it's more easily assimilated. Surrounding ourselves with good companionship, pleasant conversation, and a wholesome environment makes eating a pleasure and digestion progresses easily. Well, that would also be conscious eating. The thing is, when we are stressed and we eat, we don't even taste the food. It's just, there's a feeling that you want to go, yeah, it has to go away, and you eat and you don't even feel better after you eat. So it's not ever helping, at least not with me. When we are relaxed, our stomach and other organs are less tense. They feel less constrained and can perform their tasks more easily. In fact, the physical art of laughing after a meal allows the food to pass more readily throughout the digestive tract. So there is a thing that is really common in Europe, and we didn't see that as much here in the United States because my first time in the US was in 1981, and when I was invited to go to a restaurant, it was after you ate, you leave, you know. They already start cleaning out your table and you're just supposed to leave. Whereas in Holland, in France, but also in Holland, you go to a restaurant and after you ate, you sit there for at least another hour. Usually it's drinking coffee and talk and laugh. And this is especially in France, I noticed that. But this is where how I grew up with that, and I didn't see that here in the US.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And laughing is a high oxygen event
Oh, yeah.
because you're laughing. If you're really laughing and you're pulling in more air, where disease in the body is a low oxygen event, and it affects your nervous system, your immune system, your whole digestive system, all depends on your movement and your breath, your hydration, all that stuff. So that's why that cancer went away. He was laughing. He was shaking his whole body. His diaphragm was involved, right? And he was breathing in gulps of air and blowing out gulps of air. And even though it might have been rapid, you're holding your breath sometimes during that too. When you bring the air in, you laugh, you're usually holding your breath. And then you're exhaling, usually longer than you inhaled. And that is what gets rid of dis-ease in the body. One of the major three.
It is all so simple, and we just did not know.
Yeah, we're just not trained to do it. That movement, the internal cleansing. When you think of your internal organs, they're like a sponge, and they're full of blood and lymph and nutrition and oxygen. Well, when you breathe in the diaphragm drops, it squeezes that. Like if you took a sponge and put it in water and you picked it up and you squeezed it, there's still water in it. And when you exhale, it opens back up because the diaphragm goes up and it relaxes, it's working the heart and the lungs at the same time. As it drops down, the heart relaxes, the lungs drop. And then when we exhale, the diaphragm comes back up and is pushing on the lungs and the heart, keeping those clean too. Okay. So if you take that sponge and put it in water and pick it up and squeeze it, and then you let go and you put it back underwater, the water flows back in. Well, the lymph and the blood flow back in all your organs and glands. So it's an internal massage that is way deeper than any deep tissue massage that you're going to have. Not that you shouldn't have deep tissue massage, but your breath will do the same thing. If you're breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, you can breathe in through your mouth and out your nose, in your nose, out your nose. Just breathe. Whatever it is that works for you, deep, deep breath, belly breath. Get that diaphragm to drop down and start massaging those organs and glands. And it's squeezing it out and it's letting it come back. And that's how you get rid of congestion or acids that are stuck in our tissues. That's the exact. And when you're dehydrated, I have a sponge it's hard. Well, it's dehydrated. And you take it and you just touch it in the water, and the water starts to absorb up in it, and it starts to come back to life. Same thing with the organs and glands. They're just sponges. The whole body is a big sponge. And that's why compression, decompression through breath moves everything in the body. And as it's moving, it's cleaning and it's pulling it out so that it's getting oxygen, hydration, and nutrition from the blood. And as it's eliminating, each one of those cells pees and poops. It eliminates, the lymphatic system comes along, picks it up. Well, if it's congested, inflamed, it has a hard time to do that. So it burns more energy, and the more areas you have that are inflamed, the less energy you have to get you through your day. So as you clean the whole system, internally, externally, your body has no choice. It has to get well because it was the lack of that created it. And that's why fruits, berries, and melons are so important right now in our life, because the food is not really doing it anymore. It's most of it's dead. Even the table salt has no minerals. It's stripped of everything, which is why we need to go to Celtic or Himalayan or blue California or blue Baja salt. All those things. They have minerals in them, and it's the minerals our body needs, and it will regenerate the body as well as help the adrenals. And there are many people that don't believe that we should have salt, but that came from doctors, because table salt will cause that issue because you're not getting any minerals from it. It's actually quite deadly for us because it's affecting our electrical system, and everything is about electricity. If you look, the more inflamed it gets, the less electrical flow it has and the less oxygen and nutrition because it can't get in there, just malabsorption. So as we clean, all that mucus and all the things that are causing the malabsorption go away, you start absorbing again, and your health comes back. That's
And
all.
it's not happening in a month or even 3 months. It takes time.
Yeah. Well, it can happen quickly, but it's going to depend on your story. Like with every sip I take, my body gets stronger, cleaner, my mind gets clearer, my heart uh, is more balanced, and my words create my existence. We create the reality we live. And it doesn't matter how educated you are. If you want to create a reality, you just start doing it, and all the information will come to you that you need over time to accomplish what you want to accomplish in that reality, because you're the creator of it. Life is a mirror reflection, and it works off our words because our words are quantum energy. So what we speak into the universe reflects back on us. And whether that's, it doesn't even matter what it is, whether it's love or dislike or hate or war or whatever it is, that's what consumes their thought, and that's what they speak. And the people who are attracted to that energy start to gather around them. And other people can't stand to be near it. Like when you thought that he ate the cat, and I think it was Katie, I'm not sure it was Katie,
Sarah.
said, oh, well, I gotta go. Right? Because they want to hear it.
Yep.
And that's part of your story. And you don't want that part of your story in your life. So that's how important all that is. I mean, it is extremely important to know who you are, because we get all these half truths and lies taught to us from the time where we first enter school, or even growing up as a child from infancy. We get these half truths and lies about ourselves, and they affect us as we grow because we're projecting that. They may not even be around anymore. They might even pass, but those words are in our head, and they're affecting how we react to the world through our voice. So it's really important to get your story the way you want it and to build on that. And all you have to do is speak it, and it will change. And it's happened all the time. You had a relationship, it didn't work out, and you were crushed. And then you found somebody else and you built a new story, and everything was good. And then it might fall apart again, right? And you're depressed, or you're whatever it is that you're going through. Some people are elated that it broke up. But the point is, you're speaking that into reality, and it's reflecting back to you, and you are the controller of that. You're the controller of that story, but you have to be aware within of what your story is, living the life you want to live. Because most of us are not living the life we want to live. We think we're trapped. Well, the outside world is what created the trap. You're not tall enough, you're not strong enough, you're not smart enough, you're too smart, you got a cute button nose, you got dimples in your cheeks. And those are positive things that we grow up with. And then if we find resistance when we get older, we're better able to defend that because it's part of who you are, it's part of your story. So stories can be very self-defeating and they can be very empowering. But until you learn to control which one you want to live, you're going to live the life you don't really want to live. You're not going to experience the things in life that you want to experience.
Yeah, I would say write the story that you want to live, what you want your story to be, write it down.
Yeah. And that's why journaling is so important.
Yeah. What I would like to do, Gary, I have a little more about, because, yeah, that goes to my heart too, because of my own emotional eating at times. There is a little more explanation of where it comes from, but even though, knowing where it comes from, when you start rewriting your story, even this will change. But I want to write this and then we go into what you want to show us and we leave the rest to next week.
Okay.
People form emotional attachments to food as a result of childhood experiences, past associations, or self-conditioning. Consequently, certain foods are often eaten during particular emotional states, such as depression, etc., or in the hopes of inducing a specific emotion, such as contentment or happiness. For instance, ice cream is often associated with the rewards of childhood. When we were children, ice cream represented a treat or perhaps a sign of parental approval of indulgence. If you'll be good, I'll buy you an ice cream cone, is a common promise of harried parents. Thus, at an early age, ice cream is associated with being good and with parental approval. I have to ask my husband if they did that to him because he loves eating ice cream. Oh my gosh. Good thing that we found what is it? Coconut ice cream, but it's still high fat, although he can do better with it than I would be able to. Anyway, consequently, when we have been good, such as staying on a good diet for a few weeks, we decided to play both parent and child and reward ourselves with a bowl of ice cream. Similarly, if we are feeling depressed or overwhelmed by life's problems, we may eat another childhood reward foods to temporarily escape our adult troubles. Holidays, such as Christmas and Thanksgiving, are intimately associated with strong emotions and certain festive foods. So strong is this emotional association of food with holiday fun that some health-conscious individuals may eat turkey, pastries, and sweets on a holiday in an effort to capture the childhood memories of days long past, as well as for parental approval in the present. Please note that no value judgment is placed upon the emotional associations and attachments to food. To a certain extent, all of our food likes and dislikes are based upon emotions. Few people eat out of purely rational reason, nor is it necessary to do so. What is necessary, however, is to be aware of the role emotions play in our food choices. If we are eating certain foods that are not conducive to health because of a disturbed emotional state, we should be aware of our behavior and try to approach our problems in some other manner besides foods. Well, we just went over that, and I think that is a good one. Foods themselves cannot satisfy emotional needs. If we are depressed, eating chocolate chip cookies may stir the memories of a carefree childhood, but they do not remove the cause of that depression. Indeed, the foods we are eating may be creating the emotional problem we are trying to escape from. For example, in our culture, most children are brought up to associate sweet, sugary food with approval, love, affection, etc. A child is often given candy as a reward. This type of conditioning becomes an internal pattern which is carried over into adulthood. When grown-up people feel lonely, bored, or in need of a reinforcement, they may buy an ice cream cone or put money in the nearest carbonated drink machine. They eat sugary reward food and feel somewhat better emotionally for a few minutes. This illustrates that a negative emotional state, boredom, insecurity, loneliness, etc., may influence the selection of and eating of non-food items, candy, cookies, snack food, etc. These non-food items then contribute to a nutritional imbalance, which may in turn recreate the emotional state that one is trying to escape from. For instance, the refined sugar in sweet foods gives a temporary rise in energy and a false emotional high. After this energy surge, the sugar has the effect of depleting the body of B vitamins and other nutrients. This sugar created depletion then set the stage for additional emotional distress and depression. It's like an ongoing vicious circle. A seemingly inescapable cycle is thereby created. A person is continually eating sugar-filled foods in an effort to escape the depression that the foods themselves are helping to create. I think that this was the last part of this section. I think that Sarah needed to get back on. So let me stop the share. And again, people, you're listening, even if you're listening now or later, you can always request this article, lesson, whatever you want to call it. It's we're not even halfway with this one, and I think the information is very good. Be aware it is a lesson. It doesn't go into everything because this whole book has more than 60 lessons in it. So it's and I'll show you the title again. It's Nutrition, Mind, and the Emotions, Life Science. So you can always find all of the lessons. Anyone who says they would like to have all of the lessons, but then please give me some time because I would have to put it on Google Docs and then give you access to download it. So anyway, I'm going to stop this sharing and then have Gary do what he wants to do. Okay. Oh no, I see Sarah still there. All right. And yeah, Gary, go ahead.
This is a mind-blowing little experiment. So you take one hand and you hold your thumb up and you point at it with the other finger, right? And then you put this thumb up and put this finger towards this one. This is a neurological reset for memory, for all kinds of things, right? It's not as easy as it looks. I mean, I'm like really concentrating right now.
Oh, that seems easy enough. So am I doing this correct?
So one thumb up, the other finger pointing at it.
Yeah,
One goes back and the thumb goes up and the finger goes out. But you're supposed to do it at the same time.
at the same time.
Yes. Like when this thumb goes up, this finger goes out. And
Right,
when finger thumb
right.
goes, finger goes out, and this thumb goes up. When I first started this, I was like, what?
Yeah, that's harder than it seems at first. It's tripped me up a few times.
Yeah. And this will help rebuild neurological connections because you're forcing the left and right brain to work together.
I don't know if I'm doing it right or not, but it seems very easy to me.
Well, that will be
Yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah, it is. Well, the way you show it, it is easy.
Yeah. And every once in a while, I get this going, and I have this one out and my thumb up. I mean, on like this way, and this hand will be closed. So, and this is probably the third time I've done it.
And how long do you do it then?
You should do it a minute or two every day.
Okay, just once a day?
Yeah, you can do it as much as you want. Matter of fact, the best way to learn is to go show other people,
Okay.
right? Because then you're practicing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, it's it's a simple thing, but you're forcing left and right brain to communicate with each other. So a lot of cognitive connections are being made. So anyway, I'll have others as we go along, which will help increase blood flow, lymph flow. Uh, if you're doing your breath work, it will increase the oxygen going through the body. It's called the flush point, I think, and it's down by the knee. And when you press on that, it's sore, it hurts, but it opens up the entire circulatory system, both blood and lymph. And it's so simple to do. And you can feel it. You can feel it come up your leg into your hip, and you just feel your whole body shift as you're getting more flow.
All right, I just read that Sarah has to go at 1:30, and we are at 1:30, 1:31. So I think it's a good time to stop this and proceed with it further next week. If you guys agree with this, or
Oh,
if
yeah. Well,
add
thank you very
something
much.
more.
Yeah, I
Well,
do have to go. So love you guys. And until next week, I'm going to jump off now.
okay,
All
Sarah,
right.
thank you for being
Bye,
here.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sarah.
Okay, guys, it was wonderful again, and I hope people will share this, because I think there's always important information, and the connect options are at the bottom of the description with either one of us. So we always love to hear from you, and look us up on Facebook. Gary has a lot of videos there, and I still need to put more of your videos on my channel, so we have it all together, and I don't send people all over the place. So
Right.
thanks again, Gary, for your wonderful explanations and all the new things that you come with. It's beautiful. So thanks, everyone. Much love, and till the next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Love you guys.